Yes, guys. What is happening? Welcome. It is Monday. It is the 2022 version of September the 12th. You're back here with me, Sean Butler, at the Spurs Talk Show. How's everybody doing? I'm sure some of you are confused, rattled, and a little bit frustrated by the lack of clarity that is emerging around whether or not certain games are going ahead this weekend following the sad passing of the Queen on Thursday night. We're going to be talking very shortly about that, the latest news around the Tottenham-Leicester game. We don't know if there's enough police resources to facilitate everybody. But we're more than that, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the sporting game that is happening tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, 5:45, I believe it is, in Portugal, in Lisbon. Ladies and gentlemen, the Spurs Talk Show starts right now. Lovely touch from him though. Harry Kane, Lucas Moura, can you do something, please? Last chance, Matt Doherty! Oh, you shite! There could be from the dead to the don't fuck it up now, don't win it! Let's go for chance! Stephen Bergwijn! Stephen Bergwijn's through! Win it, Stephen! Come on! Yes! He's won it! He has gonna win it! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh! We did it! Yo, check this out. How's everybody doing? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's been a hot minute. I think the last time we saw each other in a live stream format was the Marseille game on Wednesday night. And the next time you're going to see me is tomorrow night. Oh, it's not even tomorrow night. It's tomorrow. I'm going to verge on saying afternoon, 5:45 kickoff, which means you'll be able to see us right here. Let me get away from this for a second. Let me remove that. Let me get back to the big screen. Get on the big screen. 5:30, 5:20, something like that. Right here tomorrow. You can catch me before then on the We Are Tottenham TV pump-up show with David Harris from the Irish Hotspur. And then straight from there onto here. Oh my God, I've got dirt on my t-shirt. I can only apologize. How's everybody doing, guys? How is everybody doing? Like I said in the preview, in the little bit before the bit, I don't know if everyone's confused. I certainly am. I'm hearing that Arsenal's game might be off because they can't get the resources, that Tottenham's game might be switched to the King Power Stadium in Leicester. I'm hearing games that Thursday night's Arsenal's Europa League game, because they don't play on Wednesdays or Tuesdays, they play on Thursdays. You know why? Because oh yeah! But that might be off. There's zero clarity. It's incredibly frustrating. I find it a little bit selfish, if I'm entirely honest, of the police, not the police, the whoever what we call them, the people in charge, the power brokers of our lives, decide to be ambiguous I understand it's difficult. I understand what's happening on Monday is momentous and it's going to absorb so many resources. But these people were paid a lot of money to figure things out. You could figure things out a little bit quicker, I think, because people will travel all over the world to see football matches. A lot of businesses rely and depend on the local economy of those games, and I think there's a little bit too few attention paid to the consequences of the little guy. I understand it's difficult, but get a wriggle on with some clarity, please. Anyway, guys, let's say hello to people that are in the chat. First is me saying, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell to help the channel grow, my friends. Would really appreciate that. Listen, I know it's 3:35 in the afternoon, so most people are at work. I'm currently technically at work. I'm taking a break from it to talk to you guys about the game tomorrow, and I can't wait. I did also say I'm sorry because my internet keeps dropping. I've been having problems with Sky. I've been having problems with OpenReach as well. They keep coming out to say they fixed it. They haven't fixed anything. It keeps dropping out. If it drops out again during this stream, I can only apologize. If the whole screen freezes and I disappear in perpetuity, it means because the internet's dropped and I can't get back on to cancel the show or to tell you. So don't hate me if that happens, but we're going to see what happens. Richard Pugh's in the house. What's happening, Richie boy? This is afternoon to you, my man. What's crack-a-lacking? Anonymous Worm is in the house saying, hi, Sean. Hi, my man. Hello, Mr. Worm. How you doing, buddy? You wriggling around today? You having fun? Chris is in the house. What's happening, Chris? He says, Shawnee boy. What's cracking, my man? What's cracking? Haz is in the house as well. Good afternoon, Haz. How you doing, buddy? Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. Cooper, my man from Alabama. How you doing, buddy? Afternoon to you, Sean. Sporting watch along tomorrow. Yes, there will be. Yes, I think Adam's joining me. Although I don't know. I think he's back. I know he won a prestigious award. His movie that he made. He's currently on the train on the way back, traveling across Ireland to. He showed his movie yesterday. I think it was at a film festival, and they won the pride of the. Let me read it out. What did he win? He won something really cool. I'm very proud of him. I love that boy. He won the Spirit of the Festival Award. And apparently the response from the audience was unreal. So congratulations to him. And hopefully that will increase the likelihood of him being able to sell the movie and make some cashish. The hottest Spurs in the house saying, Coys, what's happening, my man? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Nigel Watson's in the house. What's happening, Nigel? Saying, hey, Sean. Hope you're good, dude. I'm all right, my man. I'm good. Rich is saying, Met Police say it won't be a problem to police the Tottenham Leicester game. See, this is that if you're saying the Met Police are saying that, then that would be the home version, right? That would be being played at home. But all I keep hearing is that they might switch to the King Power Stadium. No idea. OCD Whiskey Soren's in the house. What's happening, Soza? He says that's because they are shipping hundreds of police from around the country to London. Yeah. I don't know. I personally think that there's not going to be any football this weekend. I think it's going to be, I think it'll be unusual, unlikely. I don't know how they're going to get around it if they do postpone. But look, safety is paramount, right? As much as we all want football, you don't want people to be unsafe wherever they are, and the police do provide that protection. So if there's a disproportionately high amount of displacement of the local police wherever they are around the country going into London, then maybe it shouldn't happen. I don't know. Which is saying that, and I doubt there'll be much in the way of problems. Sound Sean, I am good. Oh, not. Oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about the sound. Good, my man. Sean, they can't move the game to Leicester as the Leicester Tigers are at home the same day. Oh, there you go. More information. Didn't know that. The ambiguity once again making those who have made plans have to suffer. Yeah, 100%, buddy. The Spurs fan. Cricket and rugby are still being played, but the working man's sport, is cancelled. It's a disgrace. Yeah. Listen. I know I went on a bit of a rant at the start, but in principle, I appreciate that it's difficult for everybody to make their best decision, but it always does seem like that we're on the receiving end of the if there has to be a sacrifice somewhere, it feels like the The people at the bottom end of the ladder are the ones that have to suck it up and tolerate it. You know. Carl Simpson's in the house saying, "Oh, on your bike." Scotty's in the house. What's happening, Scotty? Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. He says, "Big up, Sean and everyone in the chat." Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, my man. I haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you, buddy. Carl Simpson house. What's happening, Carly? Boy, Kelvin Fletcher's here. Perfect timing, mate, before I go to work. Big up. Nice, bro. Nice. Carl Higgins as well. What's happening, Carl? And Joseph Monaghan. Come on, you Spurs. The wish the Queen had died in the middle of the World Cup, so no football would get cancelled. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's the one thing in life you can't control is when your number's called, you know. But yeah, listen, however you feel about the royal family, I personally am a massive Republican, not Republican in like American politics, but in terms of like not believing in the need or the necessity for the royal family. But I appreciate and respect everyone's opinions either way. But I am sad. I'm sad for the loss of someone and for the people that are sad about it. And I hope that their mourning period is as comfortable as possible. Big up, Mr. Daigle. Good afternoon, mate. Good morning to you, mate. I hope you're. I'm not sure if I should talk about it, but I hope everything goes well with your family over the next couple of hours. Best wishes, man. Keep me updated. And Bill is here. He says, "I feel sorry for all the kids that have had their games cancelled for the weekend." Yeah. I can't imagine why they needed to have their games cancelled. It's not like you have much police or I guess or maybe you do. Maybe you need to have like ambulances at every game. I don't know how it works anymore. I'm not in that. I don't have kids, so I'm not in that world. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on to it, shall we? Let's talk about Sporting Lisbon versus Tottenham Hotspur, the match preview. Look, it is going ahead. The game starts at 5:45 UK time, as I said earlier. We so expect to be here on this channel if you are going to watch it with me at 5:20, 5:25. It should be a really good game. I've done some research just like I did against Marseille. And by the way, I absolutely nailed the Marseille tactics. I said to you, they'd be all over us in the first half an hour, that they'd be a super high energy, high press team. And that's exactly what they were. And that we had to kind of hang on a little bit, sustain it. Unless you're a team that can face that high press, high energy and just dance around them like Barcelona of old used to do or whatever. I don't think Tottenham have that tactical or technical ability just yet. And so sometimes you just have to hang tight. And I feel like I said this in my Tottenham walk the other day, guys. I think it was yesterday I said it, or 2 days ago. I feel like there was a little bit too much criticism of Tottenham's performance in that game. I feel like sometimes as fans, we're guilty of like just viewing Tottenham through like a super zoomed in lens and forgetting about everything else, never giving credit where it's due to the opposition, never even really appreciating the consequences of, I'm sweating like a pig, of having to face that high press and that high energy. And the game did play out as I thought it would. You know, it was frustrating, don't get me wrong, but if a team does do that, where they're just running around like organized headless chicken and exerting so much energy, then if you haven't got the ability to play it around them immediately, suck it up, soak it up, and then they'll tire. And that's exactly what happened. And by the 37th, 38th minute, I think it was clear that they'd run out of gas, or a lot of their midfielders had run out of gas. And that's why we could turn the screw a little bit better in the second half. A lot of people also think that the game only became easier in the second half because of the red card. Even if that's true, which I don't think it is, but even if that's true, that's because we earned the red card. Let's not dismiss or give or take away any credit from ourselves about that. But I still think that even without the red card, that we would have had a much more settled, easier second half where we just dominated the ball because most of the Marseille players had run themselves out by that point. But we're not worried about that anymore. We got the 3 points. We are playing against a team who also got 3 points last time out on Tuesday night, it was, I believe, last week. And they played Eintracht Frankfurt away from home. Now, we obviously all maybe remember Frankfurt from last season as being the winners of the Europa League and a team that absolutely smashed most of the teams that they came up against. And so maybe we should be terrified of the fact that Sporting can go to Frankfurt and just walk them off the park. Frankfurt this season is not the same team. They not only did they lose Kostic, but they also sold quite a few of their... they got decimated by certain transfers, and they haven't really replaced anybody. So I don't think you're going to see the same the same sort of Frankfurt this year as you did last year. But that's notwithstanding, we don't want to take away too much of the credit from Sporting. They did put in a fantastic performance. And we can talk about that right now. So this, on the game day stats, we obviously know ours, right? The last 6, we've won 4, drawn 2 in all competitions. Our last Champions League result was the 2-0 home win against Marseille. Sporting, on the other hand, they've won 4, drawn 0, lost 2, both in the league. And their last Champions League result was their 3-0 away win versus Frankfurt. In terms of our record against them, it's very difficult to find it. I couldn't find any information regarding any kind of competitive game against them, guys. So, as far as I'm aware, we haven't played them in the Champions League or the Europa League or any of those things. So we're going to move straight on from that. They're key players to look out for. In fact, before we get into that, let me just shoot forward a little bit, just to show you a little bit of information about their last. Whoa! Where are we going? So last season they came. It's up here. We've got last season they finished second to Porto, 6 points behind. It was a pretty interesting race. They were there or thereabouts all the way up until about March, April time, and then they fell away in a couple of games before their final 6 run in, and ultimately Porto proved too strong. This time round, however, it's only 6 games into the season, but they haven't started so well. We're going to look at those games in a second. They lost games. Obviously, they've already played Porto and they got absolutely smashed by Porto. They did have a sending off in that game, which did tilt the balance. I think the sending off was fairly early in the game, so it's a little bit difficult to give too much, to take too much away from it. You know, I think the sending off was a little bit harsh as well from what I had seen in the highlights. But Porto obviously did dominate the game, and from what I've listened to from other Sporting fans that I've seen around the community, they say that it was a real disappointment to see Sporting play particularly badly. They also then went on to lose against Chaves, who I believe are a newly promoted team into the Portuguese league. And the Chaves team got a red card as well in that game. So Sporting, on the back of those 2 games here, where you can see them until their most recent game against Portimonense on Saturday, which just happened a couple of days ago. Excuse me, my phone's going mental. Now the game against Portimonense, the team that they played or the team that they put out for that game wasn't their full strength team. So I'm not entirely sure whether it was whether Portimonense or whether it was Estoril Praia, which was the league game, and which one of them was the local cup game. But in either event, since their Eintracht Frankfurt game, where they did win 3-0 and looked very comfortable, they have gone on and smashed this Portimonense team. However, I would say that if you actually watch the highlights, I think all 3 of the 4 goals that they scored were all major deflections. And I think that the scoreline somewhat flatters Sporting somewhat. Let me just touch base before I go any further. Let me see if I've got anyone else to talk to on here. Where did I get to? Kelvin Fletcher saying festivals and footy postponed, rugby and cricket are fine. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, mate? It's weird. Maybe is that something to do with like there's less police necessary at rugby and cricket because for whatever reason there's just less trouble in those sports, you know, by the people that are watching it. I don't entirely know why. Spurs fans saying same here. Can't be done with the embarrassing Royals. Okay. Though the Queen was a stalwart for her screw up, Andrew. Yeah. Let's move on from politics. Rail strike for the weekend has been postponed due to the funeral procession and the like. Wowzers. There was a rail strike planned as well, was there? Right, Richard? Jesus Christ. You'd think, I suppose that's actually pretty smart of the union who controls the rail strikes, because I think no one would tolerate that they would lose a lot of favour with people, a lot of grace if they were to continue with a rail strike during the weekend of the funeral. It only changed after the red card. Is that regarding the Porto game? I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about. Maybe. Bane's in the house. What's happening, Bane? Good to see you, my man. He says, greetings, everyone. We win tomorrow. I hope so, mate. We're going to go through that right now. Listen, guys, the three players to look out for. Obviously, we know about Marcus Edwards, ex-Tottenham boy, right? Got released by Tottenham in 2019. I think he spent some time in Portugal at Vitória de Guimarães, where he played, I think it's 3 years there. I think he's 77 games. I'm looking up his details right now. 77 games and 17 goals scored. And then in this summer, he went to Sporting, where he started very, very well. 17 games played. Sorry, it was in January he went there. 17 games played and 5 goals already for Sporting. Look, a lot of people were going to be saying, why on earth did we not sign this or give this kid, more time? But he was so injury prone at Tottenham, so very injury prone at Tottenham, and you can understand that not everything. Sometimes you make bad decisions or whatever, but it looks like he's really turned it on. And against Eintracht Frankfurt, he was absolutely insane. I think you could only give him a 9.5 out of 10. I think he got a goal and assist. I think he had like 7 key passes during the game from memory. Looking at the stats earlier, he was just absolutely brilliant. He plays on the right hand side as like a kind of wing forward, like a Kulusevski or someone like that. But actually, I think against us tomorrow, he's going to be playing officially as a striker. Because the one thing that Sporting Lisbon haven't got, they haven't managed to sign any actually out-and-out strikers. And the one striker that they do have, I think, is injured. And so you will see Marcus Edwards kind of officially playing as the front man, and he will have his 2 guys around him, which I'll be coming to in a minute. The other guy to look out for, Manuel Ugartes, really, really gifted but strong tackling, box-to-box midfielder, loves to crunch. Him and his... Let me get my thing up here. Him and his... It's not Morata, it's Moriti, Moriti, I think his name is. I spelt that wrong. The 2 guys in midfield, both of them are going to be crunch tackling, very good passers, very aggressive. Like the one thing we've got to look out for tomorrow, it's going to be another one of those games where we're playing a similar formation to how we played against Marseille, in that they'll play the 3-4-2-1 or the 3-4-3, however you want to look at it. But the one thing I have looked at about their manager, let me get my notes up here so I can call it out to you. Amorim, right? He himself stated when he came into the club that he didn't want to overcomplicate things by showering his players with heavy tactical instructions. He very much keeps the whole thing very simple. There are certain automatized or automated movements that he has imbued into his squad. One of the trademark movements that Amorim has brought into the side is for the players to clog the middle of the park and force the opposition into making risky passes towards the flanks. This game will be won or lost, in my opinion, like most of them in the Champions League, in how we dominate the midfield. If you see, we've got Morata here. Morata and Ugarte, it's not Morata. What is his actual name? I've spelt it wrong and it's driving me up the bloody wall. Let me get it for you. It's not Morata. It's, I want to say that correctly now. 1 second, boys and girls. 1 second. His name is Morita, not Morata. Morita. I knew I spelt it wrong. You got Morita and Ugarte in midfield, right? They're both really strong, not like kind of old school 6s, double pivot kind of players. You expect potentially yellow cards, expect maybe some real crunch tackles. It's going to be a tough night for Højbjerg and for Bentancur if they do play in the midfield too. And, it's going to be a little bit spicy. I think you could find Gonçalves and Trincão come back to support them, although Gonçalves and Trincão obviously are going to be more like they're more of the wing forwards, but you do see them as part of this, as part of the tactics that Amorim likes to play. He brings them in, he makes everybody compress and completely crush the midfield, and he likes to force the game down the wings because he believes that his wing backs in Porro and Santos are. And it's not always Santos on the left. There's a few other players it could be. But usually Porro and Santos on the left and the right are better than the opposition in Portugal. And I think it reminds me a lot, guys. If you remember the Brighton game last season at home when we lost 1-0, late in the game we lost to Brighton. But what Potter did super well, he didn't play the low block or the high press. He squeezed the entire game into this kind of midfield third here. He had everybody playing in this section, surrounding the center circle, and he basically forced us to play down the wings. We didn't have any space to play through the midfield, and he said, "Your width is not going to be as good as ours." And I think at the time he had Tariq Lamptey on the right, and he had Marc Cucurella on the left, and I think we had Sessegnon on the left, and I think we had Emerson, or maybe it was Doherty, I forget now. It was Emerson on the right. And he's basically said, let's see if your width is better than our width. And we couldn't compete. We weren't. It was a brilliant tactic from Graham Potter. And I think that is something that this guy Amorim likes to do as well. He believes that his width is better than most teams in the Portuguese league that he comes up against. And so they'll crowd out the midfield, and there'll be some tough challenges. Unlike the Marseille game, though, where it was going to be a similar sort of thing, where the battle was won in the midfield, where I don't think where I think the similarities kind of stop is that that Sporting don't like to do the high press. From what I can gather, they're more of like a team that will sit back and do the low block, especially against Tottenham. I see them not only trying to win the midfield battle and compress and just drain the life out of the game, but they're also going to sit back and rely on solid defending of Inacio Quatesh and Saint Just. This guy, Quatesh, I think his name, I don't know how it reads like it's Coates, but I think it's Quatesh or something like that. The way that he plays his football is he's brilliant in the air, right? So we have to be incredible. I think he's already scored 6 goals in the last, I think he scored 7-8 goals last season. And I think he scored 2 or 3 goals in the preseason and a goal already in the league. As a centre-back, he's very, 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 very good in the air. And we need to be a little bit careful with Pedro Porro's abilities with set pieces. He could be whipping them in. If we give away free kicks in and around the area, if we give away free kicks up on the right, up on the left, or anywhere out here, I think you might see Pedro Porro with the whips, and you might see this man, Quatesh, or however you say his name, in the air. He's someone who's very, very, very clinical. So, apart from that, guys, look, I don't. Obviously, we need to worry a bit, about Marcus Edwards. They're very tricky. Trincao is another very tricky player, as is Gonçalves. They're more tricky up front, but look for them to push the ball down the width. Look for them to compress the life out of the midfield. And then when we've got the ball, these guys are going to get back. If they can't compress the life, they're going to get back and support Inacio, Quatesh, and Saint Just. It's going to be a pretty frustrating game, I imagine. And we're going to need to be at our very best defensively to make sure that Edwards doesn't have. I think that people like Eric Dyer might have a real tough game tomorrow night with Edwards kind of floating from the centre out to the right, and then we'll see how we do. On that basis, guys, I have picked a slightly different formation. A slightly different team to the one that played against Marseille. Let me just 1 second. Let me just go back. So yeah, I've spoken about Quatesh, the defender, and I've spoken about this Ugarte guy, real tough tackling midfielder alongside his mate in the middle, Marita. Before I get into the starting 11, or my predicted starting 11, let me just have a look and see if I've missed anybody saying hello. Please smash that like button, guys, the share and the subscribe button, and the notification bell. As you know, on this channel, we go live very impromptu, so it's really important that everyone that does subscribe is notified when we go live, because we don't really have too much time to alert you, just the way my life is. Brad says is here as well. What's happening, Brad says? Good to see you, my man. He says horse racing too. Has that been cancelled, is it? Is he saying that's been cancelled, or it's still going ahead? I'd imagine that's been cancelled out of respect, right? The Queen loved a bit of horse racing, didn't she? Big up, Richard. Says Terry Wright. Tom Marcannon's in the house. What's happening, my man? He says Marcus Edwards played really well recently. Even scored, I think, yeah, he did. He scored a goal against, I think he scored on the weekend as well. The red card was referring to the Marseille game. They were very, very confident, pushing us right back until Son caught them on the break, and their defender made a poor decision to bring him down. Yeah, the red card did influence the game. Of course it does. Every red card influences the game, Craig. But I do think that, like I say, I think that the game would have opened up naturally anyway. I don't think that Marseille had the ability to continue with that high press, high energy. It was crazy amounts coming from them. I don't think it's going to be the similar sort of game. I could be wrong, but from the research I've done about Sporting and looking into all the different games that they played and looking at the highlights, it seemed like there's a consistent theme that when they don't have the ball, they're very happy to just sit back and drain the life out of it. And when they do have the ball, they move it fast down the wings. And then try and get those wing backs to support the front three up front. Mark Ivy's in the house saying, if dominating the midfield is crucial, then we are in trouble as we don't do that. Yeah, well, I think dominating the midfield is often the crucial part of most games anyway, right? It's the transitions that, especially if Tottenham play on the counter. I think it's going to be a really frustrating game. I generally think that Sporting will be happy to get a point from it, and I think Tottenham are going to push. we have to be very careful, like I said, about conceding free kicks, and then that man Quatesh at the back is an absolute nightmare in the air. And I think Tottenham, obviously, one of our weakest areas is in the air. What's happening, Gagumas? Lovely to see you, Miss. Good to see you back around the channel. Hope you're doing very, very well. Luca 14's in the house saying, "All right, Sean," and to the chatters, what's happening, buddy? Kelvin saying we was already getting a foothold in that game 10, 15 minutes before the red. It's easy to call the exchange on the red if you don't understand what's going on. Yeah, I tend to think that, like I said, I tend to agree with you, Kelvin. I think that the red card helped the situation, but wasn't necessary for us to come away with the 3 points in the end. Porro had a very good game in Germany, one to keep an eye on. Yeah, absolutely. Really, he's very, very good going forward. And like I say, he's got a very decent set piece on him as well. Our Green's in the house. What's happening, Our Green? Good to see you, my man. What's happening? Eugene's in the house. What's happening, Euge? Quatters played for Liverpool, looked like Maguire. Yeah. I know. He also played for Sunderland. Right? So his career didn't kick off in the UK. But that's the problem. Marcus Edwards' career didn't take off in the UK. A lot of players didn't really work out in the UK. Look at Guendouzi for Marseille, right? What didn't work out for Arsenal, but gave us a really tough night last week. So horses for courses. I know it won't happen, says Terry, but I really like to see Spence get a start. We need to get more. Let me take that away for a second. We need to get more going forward. Royal has been good defensively, but isn't offering anything going forward. Yeah, you know what? I don't think he will be. I think if there is a change there, it would be Doherty coming in before Spence. And maybe tomorrow night would be the night to give it a chance, because personally, I feel like that's the way that they will sit back, and we do need people who can get forward. We're going to need a little bit more help when we do have the ball to be able to break down this team. So, yeah, I don't think it will happen, and he's certainly not in my starting 11. But I like where your mind's going there, Terry. Tom saying I put in but didn't send. Not being rude regarding horse racing. They had it on Sunday. Don't know regarding next weekend. I put in but didn't send. Not sure what that's referring to. I know you're never rude, Tom. It's all good. Right, let's get on to it. Craig Bowler's saying we will be the ones sitting back there. Won't be any change in tactics from Conte, especially away from home. Be interesting. Be interesting to see how we get on. Let's bring up the predicted lineup. Obviously, I've gone for Hugo Lloris in goal, ladies and gentlemen. Goes without saying. It's one great thing about the last couple of games is like we give Hugo. A lot of people give Hugo a lot of credit, a lot of criticism when his distribution's poor or when he makes mistakes, like against West Ham. People kind of come down on him pretty hard. But it's good to see that in the last couple of games against Fulham and against Marseille, that when called upon from shots outside the area, with the exception of the goal from Mitrovic, which I don't think you can really blame Hugo for too much. His positioning was fine. It was just an absolute worldie of a shot. But if you remember, a couple of minutes after that, there was the other deflected shot, and he got himself back. And I think against Marseille, he was a couple of shots as well from outside the area. He's a brilliant shot stopper. And one of the great things about Tottenham's tactics right now, whether you like the way we play with the ball or not, but our defensive work frustrates the life out of teams. We force teams to have, when you see teams having 15, 16, 17 shots on target or shots on goal, you think, oh, they must have had a fair slice of the game and been pretty involved and pretty dangerous. But the vast, vast, vast majority of those shots are coming from outside the area, 21, 22 yards. A large slice of that is block shots or off target. And the ones that are on target, Hugo Lloris is one of the best shot stoppers in the Premier League. So we're in a pretty safe and good hands. If we can continue to kind of keep the opposition shooting outside the area, then it's great. It's good that we've got Hugo there, and it's also great that we've got a Premier League level goalkeeper in Fraser Foster behind him, just in case anything needs to change in that regard. But it doesn't need to change for tomorrow. We have got Hugo Lloris in goal. I have gone for Christian Romero, obviously at the right side of the centre back. Look, we all know I'm not going to dwell on him too long. The only thing I would say though, guys, is I think everyone is a little bit probably on the same page as me, is that he hasn't come back from his injury with the same zip, the same bite. I haven't seen him crunch anybody for a couple of games. And he's been a little bit sloppy with his positioning, a little bit slow to react. And some of his passing has been, with the exception of Fulham, I think Marseille, it was wayward. So, look, I've got no doubts. He's just kind of trying to get back into the swing of things. But it's something that I'd like to see a little bit more from him with his concentration and just making sure he gets back to his absolute best like he was before the injury. But he's definitely starting. Alongside him, Eric Dyer makes sense, right? We don't really have a replacement for Eric Dyer. I think we're going to see Eric Dyer put in 45 plus games this season, pending he doesn't get injured. Probably one for the Fantasy Premier League team, just in that Tottenham don't concede very much. And he is going to play most of the games, so you haven't got to worry about a rotation or substitute appearances affecting his minutes on the pitch. Listen, I do worry a little bit about Eric Dyer. He can get twisted and turned inside and out a little bit, as we know. And I think with Marcus Edwards and Gonzalez and Trincao up front, they're tricky players. You know, they're not people that are afraid to dart left, dart right. And so Eric Dyer is going to have a tough night on his hands if we do concede a lot of possession to Sporting. I'm sure he's got it in his bag to be able to handle it, but just putting it out there, I do worry a little bit. Next to him, interesting one. I've actually gone for Ben Davies, not because of rotation, but just because I feel like, and it's a close one. Like, you could make the argument, if we're going to play against a team who are going to sit back and be frustrating, then you need somebody who can unlock the team, unlock the pass. And I think that makes a lot of sense to have Clement Longley still in the team. Personally, I think that given Marcus Edwards is so tricky, given that Trincao is also very tricky on the right-hand side, I think that you might need a little bit more stability at the back, especially if Sporting are at home and if Sporting do decide to push the ball down the width, down the wings. And if you're going to have the person who I'm going to bring in and show you in a minute at the left wing-back spot, then we are going to be a little bit more vulnerable down that left-hand side defensively if we were to have Longley and Perisic, I'll spoil the surprise, both on the left-hand side. So for me, I've gone with Ben Davies. I'm more than happy to see Clement Longley come into the team. Let me know who your thoughts are. If you agree with me or disagree with me, I can understand the argument for both. If Longley comes in, it allows us to pass the ball with a bit more slick, a little bit more precision and accuracy than what Ben Davies can provide. But having Ben Davies there does provide us a little bit more protection. And for me, like I say, I've gone for Ben Davies, but I completely understand the other option, putting him in. Davies is dogged, says Wilson T. So good shout putting him in. I just think it's going to be a tough night. I think Sporting are not going to be an easy team. It's going to be an interesting game. We'll see what happens. On the right hand side, look, I've gone for Emerson Royale. I think that for me, it's a fait accompli. Conte, he does his job going defensively very, very well. We all know we'd love to see more from him going forward. Although I think at the same time, it's fair to say his crosses have improved this season. I'd like to see Matt Doherty come in. I wouldn't be surprised. But I would be surprised to see it happen because I just don't think that Conte is going to change things too much, given the fact that we didn't play against Manchester City on the weekend, and most of the players will be fresh, having had a few days without having to run at 90%. So for me, I think Emerson Royale stays in the team. Let me know if you agree with that one, or whether you rather see Spence or rather see Doherty coming. I'd be amazed if Jed Spence gets the berth in an away fixture in the Champions League for his home debut, for his full debut for Tottenham. On the left hand side, I've gone for Ivan Perisic. I just think again he looks very good on the ball. His ability to cross. I've said it a few times now. If you watch the cadence of his step overs, most players that are doing step overs, they give something away, like in a poker tell. They kind of show a little bit of information, and smart defenders can see and can pick up on those. Like when the additional little bit of a speed comes in the step over, it's usually the penultimate step over before someone makes a decision. With someone like Perisic, if you watch, his step overs are slow and languid, but they're consistent pace. And so it's very difficult to know whether he's going to drop his shoulder and pop to the left or pop to the right before he drops the ball in on either foot, which he's very capable of doing. His crossing is brilliant. I'd like to see some of the forwards get into better positions aerially, because I feel like maybe some of those forwards, I've said this before on the channel, some of those forwards for me are a little bit, they've come to not expect good crosses coming in when they've had Sessegnon or Emerson, and yet this season, and I'll include Emerson on this one, both our wing backs have managed to put balls into very good, dangerous areas around the penalty spot or between the penalty spot and the edge of the 6-yard box in dangerous positions, and there hasn't necessarily always been somebody there to receive it, whether that's because Harry Kane's had to drop deep to come and start the ball, or whether it's because for whatever reason, lack of trust in the process. But for me, I think that some of the forwards need to make better decisions. We're going to come to that in a minute. The decision making up front has been poor, and in no small part, sometimes in the positional play when we do get into dangerous areas. I've gone for Perisic on the left. Let me know if you agree with me. Terry Wright is saying Perisic starting in the Champions League games is a must. Yeah, absolutely. The guy's got pure pedigree. He knows exactly what he's doing. Enrique Briceno, what's happening, my man? I haven't seen you before. Good to see you on the channel. He says we need Longley for his height and passing. Yeah. Well, the problem with Longley, if you look at his stats, at least historically at Barcelona, his aerial duels and his capability in the air was actually really poor. Now, that might just be because of the style of play that Barcelona were under, but I think he only won. I can get it up. I won't get it up because it'll take me a bit of time, but I think he only won like 46% of his aerial duels, which as a centre-back is pretty low. I think Eric Dyer usually wins about 62, 67, somewhere around the mid-60s. And so, yeah, Longley's, whilst Longley you would think is good in the air because he's fairly tall, the stats would suggest otherwise. And we haven't really seen too many in the games that he's played. We haven't really seen him have to get involved too much in the aerial duels. But we'll keep an eye on that one, Enrique. We'll keep an eye on that one, my man. Wilson saying we know he won't budge, but just wondering whether 3-5-2 is better for this match. Look, I think on paper, mate, I think it's always going to look like a 3-4-3, but during the game, I think you see naturally people like Harry Kane recognise if there is a need to drop deep and become that kind of fifth man of midfield. I think it kind of happens sometimes naturally, whether it's an actual like a designated and a dictated responsibility that comes from Conte. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think so, but I would imagine that you'll see, if the needs must, I think you'll see players drop in. For me, if Richarlison's playing, I personally would rather Richarlison come a little bit deeper than Harry Kane, because whilst Harry Kane can get the ball and spread those passes, and whereas Richarlison, whilst he's been running around like a headless chicken doing amazing work and trying to get in control of the ball, some of his passings have had kind of poor weightings on them. I generally think that I'd rather have Richarlison coming back and being combative in the midfield. And I think against Sporting tomorrow, it's going to be one of those games against those two midfielders that are fairly aggressive, old school number sixes. I'd rather see Richarlison take that battle on than Harry Kane. I don't want to see Harry Kane get a nasty tackle on one of his ankles or anything like that. So, but we're going to move on. Before we get to the front three, who we got next? We know these two, right? I'm going to bring them both in at the same time. Bentancur and Højbjerg for me. I think they pick themselves at the moment. Skippy, I'd like to see Skippy get some minutes maybe in the game. It'd be nice if we're leading by, in God's grace, if we have a 2-0 lead or something, or a 2-goal lead at some point in the second half. It'd be great to see Ollie Skipp get his first minutes of the season. And Basuma as well. I think it'd be lovely to see them both come on the pitch. But for me, it's super important that we don't lose the game and that we continue our good start in the Champions League. And for this sort of game, for this sort of midfield battle, you're going to need your best two. And for me, that's Bentancur and Højbjerg all day long. On the right-hand side, I have gone for Richarlison. I don't know why his hairline's been cut off. That's weird. But that's who I've gone for on the right. I do think that you'll see, to the point that Wilson's saying here, I do think that you might be able to see, Richarlison come back a little bit and support these two. Although, I'm going to spoil the surprise and tell you right now, I've also gone for Heung-min Son on the left. I think this is going to have to be his last starting chance before we make a change and give Decky and Richarlison a go. For me, it's a difficult one. I get it. I get how everyone feels. Let me know how everyone feels in the comments, whether you'd still stick with Sonny. I think his games are improving. His performances have improved. I understand that he is super frustrated and it's affecting his confidence. And I think it's also slightly affecting the relationship between these three, especially Sonny and Kane. I feel like, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the decision-making of the front three for me has been somewhat wayward for the most part in the season. People second guessing, people having shots in like block shots. Our block shots percentage is like 30-40% higher, than it was the entirety of last season. Like, we're having shots from outside the area. People, I think there's a little bit of selfishness, a little bit of greed coming into it. Maybe if one player doesn't pass when they should. The next time the other player gets the ball, he decides not to pass. I don't know if I'm reading too much into it. I don't think there's any problem between them. I just think that there's just poor decision making from and I'll include Richarlison in it. When Richarlison gets the ball, sometimes the weight of his passes has been poor. And I'll include Decky in it as well. I think that Tottenham's problems this season, most of the time, have come from the decision-making of the front four. Not that we've had too many problems, but if you want to focus on the performances not being, or the results not being as commanding as as some of the fans want, I don't think the problems start at the back. I think at the back, we've been very solid, very secure. But when we do get the ball up front, some of the decision-making between the passing and the overrunning, the offsides, etc., has been a compounding effect that's it's difficult to break down entirely, especially in this particular show, because I'm going to run out of time in a second. But for me, this is the front three that I want to see today or tomorrow. If it doesn't work, if we see more frustration, if we see more bad decision making, if we see more like loose shots that are going nowhere, players that run into a direction, get the ball, and then they turn slow, and they just have a crack anyway, knowing full well that there's two players behind them and it's going to hit one of them. If we see more of that, then for me, I think we have to shake the tree a little bit and see what falls out against. If we play Leicester on the weekend or whoever we play next, I think if it doesn't work consistently and accurately tomorrow, then for me, I think you have to bring in and try a new 3-ball. And I think, unfortunately, that would mean that Sonny needs to have a little breather and start from the bench and bring in Richarlison and Decky. I'd love to know what you guys think about whether or not you'd like to see this front three, or just generally, actually. Is this the 11? I've gone for Hugo Lloris. I've gone for Romero, Dyer, Longley. Oh, hang on. Why is Longley? Hang on a second. Have I screwed up here? Longley's there, and he's there, but Ben Davies is there. Completely screwed up. I've gone for Ben Davies at left centre back, even though you can't see it. Ben Davies should be there, but I'm more than fine if Longley starts. I've gone for Perisic and Emerson, Bentancur and Højbjerg, and then my front three tomorrow are Sonny, Kane, and Richarlison. But I would love to know if you guys agree with me or not. Lise is in the house. What's happening, Lise? Good to see you. Hope you're well, my friend. Lucas saying it would be good if we could wrap up our Champions League qualification ASAP. Do it in 4 games. Yeah, it'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Be absolutely delicious. Personally, I think that Tottenham will finish the group top. I think that I don't think that we're going to. I think that Frankfurt will be again. Like Frankfurt will try and push the boat, or they'll try and play their style of football the way they play. But they just didn't replace Kostic, and they didn't replace a couple of other players that left them in the summer as well. And I think that they won't be. I hope not too much for trouble. I think tomorrow is going to be the battle of who finishes first and second. And I still think we can have it. I think it'll be a really tight game, though, guys. If you were a betting man, which I am, I'd say either Tottenham win 1-0 or it'll be a 1-1 draw or something like that. I don't foresee it being a high scoring game. I think it'll be a very tight, nitty gritty affair. I'd lay total goals under 3, and like I say, it'll either be a 1-1 or a 1-0 to Tottenham. It might even be a 0-0, to be honest. It could be one of those sorts of games. Guguma's in the house saying, she's talking to Kelvin Fletcher. Rich is saying hi to everybody. We've got a super chat from Moondog. What's happening, Moondog? I hope you're doing well, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. He's saying the passing by the whole team has been poor. Yeah, it has. But when we have got into dominant positions up front, I think that some of the decision making. I mean, you saw Sonny the other day against Marseille. He went on like those 40-yard, 30-yard sprints with the ball at his feet, and then just ran it straight into the back heel of the defender. Again, and I think you also saw Richarlison overhitting the ball quite a few times against Fulham. Excuse me. You've seen Decky, Decky and Kane getting each other's way. You've seen Sonny and Kane getting each other's way, get frustrated with each other for not passing it when the opportunity was there. And then the next time the other person of those two got the ball, he didn't pass it back into the other person's path when that was a better choice. I don't know whether it's selfishness or greed or whether it's just getting used to it, getting used to the new season. I also think, like I said it many times, I do think that whilst we've had Sanchez in this right centre back spot, and Emerson here, I think that the tactic from Conte has been to kind of distort the 3-4-3 and push more and more of the play up this left-hand side, which has made Ben Davies or or Clement Longley have an average position that is closer to where Perisic's body is. In fact, in some games, Ben Davies' average position, his average spot in the heat map, was inside the opposition half. That then forced either Perisic or Sessegnon to be right up here in their average position, nearer where Sonny's kind of mark is. And then Sonny obviously runs out of space and gets forced to come inside more as like a straight up number 9, gets in the way of Harry Kane. I think it's just that whole distortion because of having Sanchez and Emerson being on the right and Conte having no real faith in driving the ball down the right-hand side. I think it's pushed so many people out of position and it's created uncertainty up the top. And I think Sonny, in no small part, I think it's a significant percentage of why Sonny has been struggling this season. I believe is not just from his own confidence. I believe it's because the team has been pushed into a different shape that has kind of like taken away from Sonny's best bits, which is obviously his ability to turn, run at defenders, and to run into space. None of those things are available when you've got a crowded out front left-hand side of the pitch, if you're looking at it from Tottenham's perspective. Appreciate the super chat, my man, though. Very nice of you. Richard Pugh is saying, what has last season got to do with anything? I'm not sure. Oh, he's from this one here, is he? Kane started last season until Christmas, though he scored 1 goal. Okay. Yeah, listen, no, I get it. I think that there's an opportunity cost, and you never can know both sides of the coin, right? If we drop Son or rest Son or rotate Son, and then you bring in Richarlison or you bring in Decky and Richarlison, and Tottenham go and win 6-0, then it's like, well, why didn't we do that earlier? Like, people will make that claim. I told you I was right. Sonny should have been rested 4 games ago, but that doesn't mean that would have happened 4 games ago had that decision happened. Like, you can't know both outcomes. I've said this before, something called Schrodinger's cat. You can't be in 2 states at the same time and the same place. You can only know one thing, right? You can only know one outcome. There's no point in regrets in life. People make regret if they say, oh, I wish I didn't have that extra drink last night, or I wish I didn't quit my job, or I wish I didn't do this. Whatever decision you've made, people base their regret on the idea that had you not done that thing, whatever you did, then your life would have continued at exactly the same trajectory as it was going before you made that decision. And the only thing in life that is certain is nothing lasts forever, apart from death and taxes. Is nothing stays the same. So you can't know both outcomes. You can't know what would happen if you played Sonny and if you drop Sonny or if you rotate Sonny. So that's my point on that. I don't know why I went off on that rant, and I hope it made sense to you guys. I hope it made sense. Let me see what else is going on in the chats. Richard Pugh saying, "Low, he's not been playing well. It's not about popularity. It's about form." Oh, this man, this must be a Korean man. England people are trying to put Son on the bench. The best left winger in the Premier League. He is the best left winger in the Premier League when he's on form, 100%. And I absolutely love Sonny, but he's not in form right now. I'm also very happy for him to start. I just want him to find a way to get confident. We need him back. We've got a long season, and we need Sonny to be, on 6 or 7 goals. Before, ideally, how many games we got before the World Cup break? Another like 8 games, is it, or something? If Sonny hasn't scored by the World Cup break, we're in. We could be struggling there, 100%. Terry Wright saying Parsons been dreadful, Moondog. Yeah, it has, mate. It really has. I don't expect us to be super commanding with Conte and these players. I have been watching Inter and seeing similarities. Plus, they don't have Eriksen and lack creativity. Inter Milan looked like they're in trouble. Maybe it wasn't losing Eriksen, because Inter finished the season last year without Eriksen, and they were fine. Maybe it's losing this guy. Maybe they made a mistake letting Perisic go. One of the best left wing backs in the world football over the last, I don't know, pick your time zone, 10 years, 11 years. They haven't replaced him. Well, they haven't replaced him with anyone yet that's doing the business for them. So I'm yeah, be interesting. Be really interesting to see if they pick it up. Who else we got? A view from the South Stand. What's happening? Is that Marlon? I think that's Marlon saying 0-0 written all over it. I agree. Yeah. If you are going to have a bet, I would suggest putting a bet on less than 3 goals. That's what I'm doing. But don't hate me if it's a 6-goal thriller. Where are we going here? You'll have to ask him that. Not. Oh, okay. Richard's having a discussion with this man. I'd love to. I don't know what your name is. If you could write like the phonetics, I'll be able to call out your name. I can't read that. Unfortunately, I'd love to be able to though. Or Gaguma, you could help me out. What's this man's name or lady's name? Be cool to be able to have the conversation out loud. Gaguma saying all good. Oh, okay. Conte at least knows football well. Then football, he does know football better than football fans for sure. For sure, he does. The first needs a rest of Sonny. Yep. Moondog saying, I got a feeling we will click 3-0 to us. Listen, that would be lovely. It would cost me 40 quid if that's the case, because I've had all my bets on a low scoring game. But I'm okay with that. I'd much rather lose and Tottenham do well than win and it'd be a boring game and Tottenham not do as good. Your name should be distorted, Sean. What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. Sonny needs that first goal. He does. He really does need that first goal, guys. He does. He really does. Would I bench Sonny against Manchester City? No, I wouldn't. That was 100%. He was on my list. He had to go in against Manchester City because against Manchester City, Tottenham, when they do have the ball, are going to have the space in behind. Like I said earlier, I genuinely feel like that part of the reason why Sonny's form has dipped, even though he's playing better. He's been playing better in the last 2 or 3 games. But part of the reason why I think his form has dipped is because I think he's been crowded out of his position. I think there's been like Perisic or Sessegnon and the left-sided centre-back has all been pushed that way. And I think he's been crowded out. It draws more players over from the opposition team as well. And Sonny's half the player when he's got 7-8 people around him. He has to be more tactical and technical, whereas the Sonny at his best has got space around him and he uses his pace to be able to, and his quick feet to be able to create space for himself in that way. So I don't think it's all on him. Let's have a look. Is there anybody else? Let's see what's going on. I love a good Schrodinger's cat reference, Sean. Good stuff, Sean. Yeah, same. Schrodinger's cat's lovely, isn't it? Wilson T says Decky plays for me. Such a bag of tricks. Yeah, I'd like to see Decky coming in. I think the thing with Decky is like he doesn't mind, like he's okay coming off the bench, and when he does come off the bench, he opens things up, right? He's got that engine, he's got that power, that strength. In fact, I forgot to really consider that. Decky's strength tomorrow could be, if it's going to be a tough physical battle in the midfield, then maybe you do want Decky in there. I don't know. Let's have a look. See, let me just scroll through anyone. I've got to wrap this up in a couple of minutes, guys. Just want to say hello to you on this lovely Monday evening. Hope everyone's doing okay. Should Salah be benched then? I don't think Liverpool have got as many options up front right now. You know, I think that Núñez hasn't started firing, and Luis Diaz. You know, no, you can't. I don't think you could bench Salah. But if Liverpool had, 4 or 5 different players that could all come in and do a job, then. I don't think Salah's start to the season has been quite as disappointing as Sonny's, although that's up for debate. But yeah, it's a reasonable thing. I don't think a player should always have their position because of on past form alone. I think you have to. I say it all the time on this channel. A meritocracy is necessary to keep people fresh, keep people on their toes. Oh yeah, you've heard me talk about the distortion 18 times in 10 days. Well, there's nothing else to bloody talk about, bro. There's not been enough football, Yeah. I'll call myself Distortion Butler from now on until we get more balance. The good thing is I don't have to say it very much longer because Romero's back in the team now, so we're getting the balance back. Jimmy's saying, "Come on, guys, let's be positive. Let's lift up the team. Why are we condemning them? Who's condemning them? I'm not condemning them. I don't think anyone's condemning them, are we? I'm all about positivity. I think Spurs are going to do. I think Spurs will win tomorrow. I just think it'll be a tough game, and I think there'll be not as many opportunities as there would be if it was a free-flowing, open game of football. But that's just my take. Let's have a look. Who cares about Salah? I hope he's crap all season. Yeah, form is temporary, class is permanent. You can do it, Sonny. 100%. Come on, Sonny. It'd be awesome to see you get a couple tomorrow night. Shut everybody up. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it from me today. I hope everyone was enjoyed that. That's my preview. I do think it's going to be a tough game. Watch out for the tackles. Watch out for the players down the width. They're going to compress the life out of it and push us down the width, and they're going to try the same, I believe. Could be completely wrong. Let's see what happens. I'll see you tomorrow at 5:15, 5:20 or something like that. As soon as I'm done with the We Are Tottenham TV pump-up show, I'll be here, and I hope to see you then. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification bell. Help the channel. We're only about 40 subs away now from 3,000. So be awesome to get there before the World Cup break. Love you guys. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'll see you tomorrow. Like, share, and subscribe. And as always, guys, as always, by the way, sorry, Moondog, thank you so much for your super chats. I always forget to say that at the end. Love you guys. Take care. See you soon. As always, guys, as always, bye-bye.